What's going on, Port fans? Welcome back to another video on the channel. Today we are reviewing round 5. Gather round. Port Adelaide versus Hawthorn. A 30-point win in front of 47,500 people. What a night. What a day. Just what a weekend. Gather round was so successful for the state, for footy. Everything worked out perfectly. The Crows kicked it off with a loss, and then Port Adelaide finished it off with a win, and you couldn't get any more perfect at that. And what a game of footy this was. This is something that no one expected. This is something that is so typical of Port Adelaide, and Port Adelaide got the job done. A couple of very edgy moments, won't lie, late in the game, but it was just too much. This margin that was 69 points at one stage was just phenomenal, and it is a game of footy that I think a lot of people will be looking back on, for Port fans in particular, because this is just a blueprint of what should be every single week. And I don't want to do this review to pinpoint. I think what I want to do instead is just soak in the moment of what this is, because this game in itself was pinpointed as the marquee game of Gather Round, the one that everyone pumped up, the one that everyone was expecting Hawthorn to win and win well. Everyone was expecting Hawthorn to come out and fight. And I think when I look at it and I go, right, well, what does this do for the season? Well, it pretty much almost saves our season in terms of the position we would have been in. 1 and 4 is a lot more dire with Sydney at the SCG next week than 2 and 3. So that's a storyline in itself. But the game that was for Gather Round, and this one in particular, is one that I sit here and I go, soak in the moment, express the happiness that brought you. Because Port fans, whilst this is something that we should be doing every single week, this is a game where it's like, we were put to the sword, the media was coming at us, and again, we just bounce back and go, hey, we're still here, we're still very talented, we still got what it takes, and we did that. We unbelievably well and started so beautifully. The unlikely names of Joe Richards, Jackson Mead starting us off beautifully. The experienced heads of Pal Pepper and Willie Rioli up forward. Contributions from Ollie Lord. Mitch Georgiadis was clearly our best forward, and the three triple-headed dragon in the middle with Horn Francis and Rosie. Well, Rosie was on half back. I'll get to that in a second. But Butters, they all stood up, and then Wines was good. Down back, Lockie Jones, Alir. They were all key personnel, that I look at and I go, clearly at the stats, and I'm not really a stats person because the impact is how I look at it. But Willem Drew, Jace Burgoyne, the players you didn't really notice, but they were having an impact. Kane Farrell had only 18, but he had 516 metres gained. These types of players are really, really important to our structure, and they were able to just nullify Hawthorn. The only person that got out the back or got an opportunity at goal was Jack Gunston. Everyone else, Nick Watson and Jack Ginnivan, were as quiet as anything. No flights going out of their zone, and D'Ambrosio didn't have his normal impact, and Dylan Moore was unsighted pretty much in the first half, and their defence was put under such a lot of pressure. And this is what I wanted to mention is the key point of all this. Doesn't matter how we played in terms of ball movement or intercept marking or structures out of contest. It was the pressure. The biggest KPI for Port Adelaide in this game is pressure. If we have pressure on the contest, pressure on the ball carrier, getting those pressure acts, that is the key component of it all. Because without that, we don't get the turnovers, we don't get the intercept marking, and it was 19 to 10 intercept marks, I'm almost certain of. These types of statistics is what is the blueprint of our game plan. We've known that. Last year's game plan worked to an extent. Mentality was a different story. But when the mentality is applied, like the big pump up that I'm sure Ken gave them pre-game, to come out and kick 6 goals to 1 in the first quarter, to then repeat it and go 6 goals to 2 in the second quarter, the first half it was done. The game was over. That's the whole point of Port Adelaide's game style, is you basically strangle and nullify the contest, and you get the turnover, get it inside 50, pressure's already there, and we scored goals from stoppages, scored goals from beautiful play coming out of the middle, transition footy. Our first goal was direct from a intercept mark thanks to Lockie Jones, and wheeled around and went across the wing and ended up, Alir, Boak, I'm pretty sure Butters was involved, Richards, Wines, these players were all involved, and that's what happens. And this is led from the front. This would have been led from Kenny. This would have been led from the key experienced players, the leaders. And in particular, Connor Rozee. The move to halfback is, I've seen quite a bit of requests online from fans and people saying let's change things up. We've mentioned these things. He was a premiership player for North Adelaide at halfback. He's a superstar wherever he plays. He can have an impact no matter what. But giving him his ability to just read the play and know how to work at halfback, it was awesome. And he was aggressive too, an aggressive halfback, not one that stat paddling. He was utilising his play, utilising his footy smarts, kicked 2 goals, was able to lead from the back half, and that was just a game changer. In the middle, it was fine. We were able to cope without it. Mead stood up in the moment in a big game. And I love that because Jackson Mead is someone that does go missing here and there, and he ended up kicking a goal early, and it was impact right away. And Horn Francis led with his contested possessions, and Butters was just awesome right across the game, and he was just niggling everyone, and it was just a well drilled, well executed, perfect game of footy for Port Adelaide. It's as simple as that. With everyone following suit, everyone believing, and that's what I saw. I saw a determination, I saw a will, a motivation, and Kenny did it again. He just somehow does it. I don't understand how he does it, but he does it. He just, he goes, you know what, big game. Let's just turn it up a bit. I tell you what, though, it was a spicy contest, one that I was heavily invested in. I know all the crowd was. The pump up, the lead up to the game. This was built like a grand final, in round 5, and I talk about moments, and there was a moment in the last quarter where the Hawks got to within 4 goals, and it was like, oh no. And I know it was a little concerning, I won't lie. Like, it was, I sit here and I'm like, I'm all happy days, 30-point win against the Hawks, who were top of the ladder and all of that good stuff. But there was a moment where I was like, far out, there's 8.5 minutes to go. They only need 4 goals. They're doing this. We're going to lose the unlosable. Didn't happen because there was a moment in play where Sam Powell-Pepper literally fought through 3, snapped it on his right, kicked the goal, ignited everyone again. And Sam Powell-Pepper's performance, for me, right across the board, it was against James Sicily. It was the key matchup. He moved James Sicily forward. They had to get him in the game because he was not having an impact. He was missing kicks left, right, and centre. He kicked a couple of late goals, which will look good on the stats for him, but he was well played. Sam Powell-Pepper's ability to be a barometer, and that's what we've missed. He hasn't had the greatest comeback so far against I think he played one good game against Richmond, and everything else he's sort of been a bit out of form and out of touch. And obviously coming back from an ACL, you're always a bit tentative. So for him to have that impact, kicked 2 crucial goals, got Willie Rioli in the play, which is another story in itself because the fallout from all of that and Willie Rioli's Instagram story that's now deleted and everything is wild. I don't want to touch on it too much because that's personal, and that's something that probably was told to pull down by the club because you don't want that backlash. But at the end of the day, it's personal. It's something that happened, and he got the last laugh in this gather round performance, which we all did. We're all just satisfied, and I know the competition is very, very happy. I know the fans will be very, very happy that the Hawks got humbled, and I am too. Like, it's a good rivalry. It's a heated rivalry. It's a rivalry in this game at the moment that's lackluster. We've seen Essendon Hawthorn back in the day, line in the sand game. Collingwood Carlton's sort of been on and off since that great game against, in 2023 and stuff. And they've had some good finishes, and even the showdown sort of had hit and misses at the moment. But this is a rivalry that's built over the last 18 months, and it's been phenomenal. And for us to get a win, for us to stand up and go, we can hold our own. I'm tipping my hat to the playing group and the coaching staff for a performance that was needed, and now this is the blueprint going forward. And I'm happy. I'm over the moon because let me tell you, after a busy weekend of 4 days of games of footy, plenty of beers, and holding out hope, I rocked up to this game not in the best condition myself. And to get a win like that, to have a hot start, we had so many hot starts against the Hawks. It goes back to the 2014 prelim. 2014 prelim where we had a hot start. If we kicked straight, it would have been 10 goals up. 2015 with Jay Schultz putting us, I think, 50 points up in the first quarter. We saw a couple of years later, we played a Thursday night game where we had the Hawks on the ropes. I think they kicked 1 goal in the first half. These hot starts are just what we need. This gets the energy going. Because after last week, St Kilda's start was better than ours, and we can't have that. We're a team of momentum. We're a team that requires motivation, and if we don't have that, then we're going to struggle to find it during the game. We need it from the start, and to put ourselves in the position that we did, dominate from the midfield. We were very, very, very good, and I loved it. I was happy. I'm very, very happy, and I'll do full credit to everyone because it was a near perfect performance. Besides the little late comeback, I'm happy, very, very happy, and yeah, the crowd was great, and we can just all start flying our planes now. Happy days. Good start to the week, Port. Thank you very much. Just quickly, a couple of things to touch up on before I finish up. Miles Bergman with a knee looks like he'll probably miss next week, I reckon. 7-day break helps, but a lot of fluid and build up in his knee. I think the opportunity probably to rest him would be the case, would be a big miss, but he was very, very good, kept Watson very, very quiet, and a lot of the boys were just able to nullify that personnel. So I hope Miles gets up okay. We do have replacements. Stevie J will probably come back in as well. Joe Berry has been sub the last couple of weeks and probably will miss, I assume, but we'll wait and see for selection as we go through. But, full credit to everyone. Great performance, and yeah, happy days. So let me know in the comments below your thoughts, Port fans, about that game. What an unbelievable performance, and one to be very, very, very proud of. Thank you so much for watching this round 5 review, Port fans. If you're a Hawk fan as well, comment below what your thoughts were on your game. Overall, great performance, one we desperately needed, and hopefully now it will kickstart a momentum changer for the season 2025. Thank you so much for watching. Subscribe to the channel if you're new for plenty more Port Adelaide and AFL content to come your way. My name's Anthony, and as always, count the pair.